President-elect Donald Trump is calling for Pollster and Seltzer to be investigated over a poll that showed Harris winning Iowa by 3%. In reality, Trump comfortably won that state by 13 points. Trump took to Truth Social, posting, quote, "a totally fake poll that caused great distrust and uncertainty at a very critical time. She knew exactly what she was doing. Thank you to the great people of Iowa for giving me such a record-breaking vote despite possible election fraud by Ann Seltzer and the now discredited newspaper for which she works. An investigation is fully called for." Joe Concha is a Fox News contributor, and he joins me now. And Joe, we should also point out a big factor in this is that Ann Seltzer said that she's quitting. She just announced that she's ending her polling operation. She also said, "I'll continue to be puzzled by the greatest miss of my career." So she's calling it an error. Donald Trump is saying that this could be intentional, and he's also calling for an investigation. So what do you think about all of this?
Wow, so much to unpack here. Good to see you again, Carly. When that poll came out, I went back on the air right after it and said, I can't wait to come back and celebrate Ann Seltzer's impending retirement, because we all knew that Kamala Harris wasn't up 3 in Iowa, a state that Donald Trump won easily in 2016 and 2020. As it turns out, she was only off by 16 points since he won there by 13. And what tipped it off for me was the fact that Ann would not release her samples as far as who exactly did she poll for this? Did she only talk to, MSNBC viewers, Planned Parenthood advocates? She would never say. And the fact that she went on MSNBC afterwards to brag about this poll tells me that she wasn't on the up and up. And there was something else here in play outside of the data, to Trump's point. Yeah, I mean, it made no sense. It was the outlier to end all outliers. We kept hearing how she was the gold standard, and then suddenly she has this poll out of nowhere that no pollsters. And how many pollsters did we talk about on this show leading up to the election? Dozens? So have fun in your retirement, I guess, Ann, because maybe you and, I don't know, Chris Wallace can go have a podcast together. That would make sense.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the Harris campaign finances, shall we? It's a hot topic right now. And FEC filings initially showed that the Oprah town hall cost $1 million, which is a lot of money. Well, now 2 sources told the New York Times that it actually cost $2.5 million. And over the weekend, the Harris campaign apparently stopped paying some senior staffers, even though they were told that they would be paid through the end of the year. So what do you think about all this? What's your big takeaway when it comes to this money? And how do you think it could impact the DNC come 2026?
Wow, great questions, Carly. I mean, well, let's look at this from a macro level. Could you imagine Kamala Harris and her team, and many of her campaign people probably would have worked in her administration, how they would govern this country if they can't even budget an interview with Oprah? And by the way, why is Oprah, or at least her company, being paid for this interview? How is that journalism exactly? And also, by the way, if you were asked to do a favor by Kamala Harris, and you apparently were a supporter like Oprah, and you were told, we need to stop Hitler and his garbage supporters, wouldn't you kind of do that for free? Because Oprah Winfrey is worth more than $1 billion. So you'd assume she would say, you know what, this one's on me. And the fact that millions of dollars was paid not just to Oprah, but to Beyonce, Eminem, Lizzo, go down the list. There are many to choose from, just to show up, to make her rallies look bigger. That's going to be an entire chapter in my next book, because it shows just how phony and manufactured, Carly, this campaign was all along.
Yeah, and the Chicago Tribune said Oprah's hometown paper said that Oprah should have turned this into a campaign donation. Okay, so let's also talk about this, because the big news of the moment are all of Donald Trump's nominees, and Democrats are unleashing some serious criticism over them. Here is Senator Mark Wayne Mullen on all of this. Watch this.
I do got a question for you. The Democrats are spending so much time talking about the scrutiny of President Trump's picks, and yet we didn't spend. Did we spend this amount of time scrutinizing Biden's pick?
Hold on, Senator. Let's
Transportation. But I don't see the same people giving the scrutiny here.
And he points out Pete Buttigieg. He says, was he really qualified to head the Department of Transportation? He also points to Rachel Levine and Sam Brinton, the first non-binary former top Department of Energy official under Joe Biden. You also have John Fetterman saying, everybody calm down. Let's stop freaking out. Democrats need to relax because Donald Trump hasn't even entered office yet. So what the reaction from Democrats is wide-ranging. What are your thoughts on that?
It's over the top. They're overplaying their hand as usual. I'll leave it here, Carly, because I know we got to go. Pete Hegseth is nominated for Secretary of Defense. We all know Pete. He is a war veteran, decorated, more than 20 years in military service. Yet the same people that were cheering on Liz Cheney and were hoping that she would be a part of a Kamala Harris administration, I assume as Secretary of Defense, boy, that's hypocritical now, isn't it? So, yeah, again, hyperbole never wins here. Democrats, as usual, screaming at the mountaintops, and let's just go through the confirmation hearings and let's see how that goes before we start declaring that these people are unqualified. That's
Everybody can be outraged in January. But for now, as John Fetterman said, let's all take a deep breath. Joe, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.